Tonight is our first of 4 informational meetings regarding the proposed construction and creation of the Career and Technical Education wing at Proctor High School. Tonight, we're going to have Terry Damon, project manager, go through the schematics and the designs on the wing. Mr. Felci, our Administrative Director of Curriculum and Instruction, will go through some of the curriculum aspects. I'm here to answer any questions regarding cost. I know there's been a lot of rumors out there, so I'm hoping tonight we'll be able to clear that up for everybody. And I think by the end of the presentation, everyone will see that this really is a great proposal for all the students in the Utica City School District from now moving forward. I also would like to recognize our Board of Education that is here, Mr. Lou Lapola, President, Mr. Bob Cardillo, Vice President, Mr. Joe Hawaika Jr., Board Member, Mr. Don Dawes, Board Member. I think I got them all, and I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. And with that, we're going to begin with the PowerPoint presentation by Mr. Terry Damon and Mr. Steve Felci. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent Karen. Good evening, everyone, and thanks again for joining us this evening. I know it's not the best weather out, so we appreciate you taking the time out of your busy days to join us for this important meeting. Our intention this evening is to give you some information regarding this project and provide you with an opportunity to ask some questions so we can provide some answers so you can share this information with your friends and neighbors. This process began some time ago, and the district decided that they really needed to bring the career and technical education programs back to Proctor High School. One of the main reasons for doing this and one of the driving forces behind this was to provide better opportunity to meet the needs of the large population of diverse learners and to increase their opportunities to participate in the program. Bringing the program back to Proctor High School that eliminates a lot of the challenges that some of the students face in terms of leaving the campus and returning to the campus during the school day. The programs that are being entertained right now will be part of the initial program are listed here. And these are the programs that across the state are the most popular. These are the programs that the students are typically looking to enroll in. And you'll see many of these are new and cutting edge that look forward in terms of some of the new technology and some of the opportunities that are going to be available to students. We're looking at auto tech, auto body and repair, full set of construction trades, which will include carpentry, electrical, plumbing, masonry. Laborers would also be included in that. Culinary arts, cosmetology, drone technology, cybersecurity, early childhood education, criminal justice, and certified nursing programming. There's not currently space at Proctor High School to accommodate these programs, so work would be required. An addition and renovation of the existing adjacent single-story technology wing of the high school would be required. This is a rendering of what this addition would look like. It's a 3-story addition. It will be located at the end of the high school, and for those of you that are familiar with the site, the tennis courts are here. You drive around the rear of the building to get to that right area. So we will be locating that facility on that end of the building. Again, it would be a 3-story addition. There would still be access to the existing loading dock, and there would be access into the lower level of the technology center where the overhead doors are, where the program used to be offered. On the right-hand side is the first floor, and the area that is the darkest shaded is the existing tech wing together with this classroom. These are the areas that would be renovated, and then the new addition would encompass the rest of this area. And then the second and third floor would sit on top of this new addition. So you have 3 new areas of classroom and instruction, specifically constructed to accommodate the career and technical education programs. The programs that I listed previously are noted on the plan. This presentation will be posted on the district's website after this evening, so if anybody wants to go look at this, the information will be there. You can examine the plan more closely, and you can see the areas that I mentioned are labeled in each of the areas. This is the construction trades area. This area is cosmetology, early childhood development, and so on and so forth. So this will be posted, so give you more time to look at it at your leisure. Mr. Felci is going to walk you through the next few slides.
Thank you, Terry. So the rationale for reestablishing our CTE programs back on site. Some of you in this building here tonight may remember years ago when CTE was a cornerstone of some of the high schools in Utica, particularly at Proctor and UFA. Courses in the trades and other occupations were historically offered at both Proctor High School and UFA, and they were moved to BOCES following consolidation to one high school in the late 1980s. On-site programming at Proctor High School would be beneficial to our students, as these courses were and still are of great benefit to our students, as they provide meaningful skills and competencies towards a career and an everyday life. And right now we kind of see the pendulum swinging back towards vocational education and the trades. Feedback from students, parents, teachers, and counselors, and the principal has indicated that student enrollment and on-site career and technical education classes will increase significantly, especially among students who want to take such courses and do not wish to leave their high school during the day to travel nearly 30 minutes to and 30 minutes from Oneida, Herkimer, Madison, BOCES. The remaining on-site will also allow for greater flexibility in student schedules and course selections. And I can remember when I was a principal at Proctor High School, that was one of the questions we would get all the time from kids. If they offered these courses at Proctor High School, we would certainly be enrolling in these courses and taking them. Offering these classes on site at Proctor High School will provide greater access to our most diverse learners, especially our English language learners and our students with disabilities. Offering these classes on site would also enable us to assist these students with our own support staff who are already assigned to the school, such as guidance counselors, social workers, translators, teachers assistants, parent liaisons, academic coaches, etc., in order to help ensure the academic success of our students. Right now at Proctor High School and our schools, we have a pretty strong support staff that can work with students each and every day in school. That support staff at Proctor will be able to continue their assistance with these kids to help them succeed in this coursework. Internal operations, supervision, and oversight of our own on-site CTE programming at Proctor will also help to ensure student performance outcomes which are higher, including attendance, academic achievement, and high school completion, which will increase our graduation rate. And this will help the Utica City School District to directly address its current designation as a targeted support and improvement district under federal and state school accountability regulations, which right now is due to our current off-site student placements. So if you look at the district's graduation rate and you look at Proctor's graduation rate is approximately 5 percentage points higher than the entire district, which includes outside placements. So by bringing these programs back and offering them right on site at Proctor High School, it will give us the opportunity to improve student performance outcomes across the board because we're in control of the kids on site and in these programs. Now I'm going to turn it back over to Terry, who's going to take you through the budget.
Thank you, Mr. Felci. The estimated total project cost for the new addition and the renovations is at $17,995,000, and that would include everything to fully outfit and furnish all of the rooms. Given the number of specialty classrooms in the area, we wanted to make sure we included the funds necessary so the automotive area, culinary, cosmetology will all be fully fitted with all the equipment, so the students will simply show up and it will be ready for instruction the first day that it opens. The preliminary numbers we've gotten that we sent for review by SED total $10.995 million. And that would leave approximately $7 million for local share, and this would result in no tax increase. We are still working with SED, and we will have final numbers for them shortly, and we expect those numbers to improve.
I just want to jump in here. Terry. Thank you. I want to go over this because I know there's been some questions and there's been some rumors out there and things like that, but this is very important. This is a very important slide, obviously. It is the cost slide, the cost of this project. As Mr. Damon just said, we're looking at $17,995,000. Right below it, in that number, the $10,995,000 that's coming from the state and state building aid is a conservative number. So when we budgeted this, we budgeted it conservatively. As soon as we're done filing, and correct me if I'm wrong anywhere along the line, Terry, as soon as we're done putting in the rest of the final drawings, the final information, and submit everything to SED, that number is more than likely to go up. So I just want everybody to know that. And even if it doesn't, the $7 million that Mr. Daniel was just talking about as the local share will be coming out of, and everybody knows this, right? The stimulus money, the American Rescue Plan, which we got $59 or $58 million in, okay? Also, the potential of increase, like I said earlier, in the final state aid, which is more than likely because we're using conservative numbers, and that's what we do when we budget. Long-term debt retirement, so any debt that we had in the past on other projects is coming due and we're retiring it. So that frees up more money, which does not increase the cost or budget. It'll level out, but we may not even need to get there because like I said, the American Rescue Plan will be, the stimulus money will be able to use that to pay that off with the local share. And then, finally, we're gonna have savings from not paying BOCES for the program cost and transportation costs, because it costs money obviously to bring buses back and forth all day long. So if you look at all of this, this is why you see a no tax increase, and there won't be a tax increase. We've been through these numbers many, many times. Mr. Damon and his project team has been through them. We've been in contact with SED. Those are rock solid. So this project will not cost, or there will not be a local tax increase due to this project. One other thing I want to bring up, and Mr. Felci spoke about it just a little while ago, the academic part. This took care of the cost part, now the academic part. These are some facts I just want to give you, okay? Reasoning, rationale, why do we need the project? Well, here are some of the reasons. We are designated as a district as a targeted school district. Why? Because of our outside placements and non-completers. So we have a large portion of students, when they go off campus and attend off-campus programs, you have a large number of non-completers. That factors into our dropout rate, and that has now labeled us a targeted school district, not because of the students that are attending inside the district, but the ones we're sending out. So that is another major reason for this, is the academic portion of this. We want to get off that list, and we want to see, as everybody here I'm sure does, more kids graduate high school. Now, there's a 5%, as Mr. Felci said earlier, difference between kids that graduate 5% higher at Proctor than the outside placements. That's a big number, and that's the reason why we're designated a target district. This plan will help take us off this list. We'll have our own teachers, we'll have our own support staff, counselors, social workers. This is nothing but good for the children, does not affect the local tax share at all, and it pretty much pays for itself. Now, one last thing a couple of things here. Okay, the 5% graduation rate. We had 78% at Proctor, 73 with outside placements. And that was the year 2019-20, okay? We have done enrollment projections. We're using special enrollment software. And we have come up with a projection of about 9% over the next 5 years. So, again, we're building this wing as additional classroom space, but it's not to put more kids into it, except just to put the kids that want to enroll in the specialized program. So actually, this is a big plus for these kids, because these are the things that we've been hearing over the years with parents, with students, with teachers, with support staff, with principals. We projected using this software over the next 10 years, a 50% increase, 5 to 10 years, a 50% increase of what we have now. If that occurs, we're gonna see all these students graduate high school with skills, with a trade behind them, where they can go right out. We can match them up into jobs where they can walk in and start earning high-paying jobs. The scheduling. Here's another thing that comes out of here that's positive. Students currently now during their lunch, 5th period, have to leave lunch halfway through the lunch period to board a bus to go in the afternoon. If we put this project in, we build this project at Proctor and they can attend at Proctor, those periods that they're used traveling can now become electives. These students will now get electives. So they'll be able to pick and choose what electives they want to take instead of riding a bus. Again, and I guess the last thing I'm going to say is the CTE program, if it's under the auspices of the principal at Proctor High School and the teachers there and the staff, obviously there'll be much stronger internal oversight. And I think what's going to generate from that is you're going to see a much higher completion rate and a much higher graduation rate. So these were some of the big pluses and the reasons why, the rationale we have proposed this project. Sure.
Thank you. Next steps. The superintendent and his staff have been very busy. There's a lot of work that needs to be done in the preparation of the applications that are required for approval. And that has been in the works and continues to be moving forward. Curriculum's been reviewed and finalized, so everything that needs to go to SED is there, ready to go. The planning for the construction of the new wing is underway. We have the concept plans, which you saw, and we have the layout plans for the furniture and fixtures and equipment. SED is currently reviewing this. It's kind of a preliminary review for them and comment. They'll come back to us. That'll help us finalize the financial numbers. And then upon approval of the referendum, the completed drawings would go to SED and then they would finish their review at that point in time. But as the superintendent said, no differently than we budgeted all the other capital project work that we've done here for the Utica City School District since 2009. We always budget very conservatively, and we have a track record of completing projects on time and within budget. And we use those same practices as it relates to this project with the budgeting that's been done. The schedule we have put together would be exactly the same approach that we use for the Kernan addition and the new administrative offices over at Kernan, where we would start the work in the spring, fit that work in very nicely with the other work that's going on in the area, make it attractive because the finished work would all be done during the fall, during the winter months, and then into the spring finish up, and then open it up the following year. Part of the process required the district to obtain the support from Oneida, Herkimer, Madison County BOCES, which they've done. They issued a letter to the district. That was something the State Education Department requested and required, and that was done, and that's part of what has been sent to the State Education Department at this time. Upon approval of the project, we actually already have had conversations with the local building trades. We've been working with them again since we started here in 2009. We have excellent relationships with all the building trades, and I've chatted with several of those members, and they are very supportive of this project. They clearly see the need for more individuals to move into the building trades. I think we've all seen some of that now with the amount of work that's going on not only here but throughout the region. So I expect that we're going to see a lot of this come to fruition. I know they're working in other areas where, as a carpenter, for example, they go through the program. They would graduate from high school as a 2-year apprentice. So they walk in the door not only at a high-paying job, like the superintendent mentioned, but they would have the apprenticeship training as a part of their high school experience. Reestablishing the career and technical education programs on site, along with the addition of the wing there, really is exciting. When we started here in 2009, we had a $187 million project that was based primarily on renovations. There were some additions to try to start the process of updating your buildings. We moved from there to the addition at Kernan, which added much needed space to relieve elementary school grade crowding. It also provided a permanent home for the Board of Education and the administrative offices. And then this past couple of years, we updated all of your outdoor athletic facilities. So this really is the final piece of the puzzle, if you will, to bring back CTE programming to Proctor High School. This really provides all of the students with everything they need on school district property. So I think this is, as this says, it's really a tremendous value to the students, teachers, parents, and the community. And the local businesses will benefit as these students move through these programs. Accomplishing this goal of reestablishing these courses on site, and it really will be a state-of-the-art facility, will mark another significant milestone achievement for the Utica City School District, designed once again to enhance the opportunities of the students and bring educational programming facilities into the 21st century. The vote is December 7th, polls open from noon to 9. There will be a newsletter that will be going out, which will be similar to the one you received regarding the Kernan edition. A lot of information and the important facts are going to be included in the newsletter that we've covered tonight. So not only will the PowerPoint presentation be available online, you'll also have a newsletter arriving at your home here within the next week or so. And as always, we encourage everybody to get out and vote. With that, we'll kind of open it up to anybody that has questions, comments.
Do you guys have any comparison numbers from what we're spending with BOCES, the money we get back from the state on BOCES when we invest in BOCES? Versus what the projects have been around?
Currently, the Utica City School District spends $22.5 million on all programs and services provided by BOCES. The CTE program, which is one of many services and programs provided by BOCES, is $2.5 million. Of that, we received $1.8 million in reimbursement. The Utica City School District kicks in out of its own general fund $700,000. So when you add the $700,000 that we will be saving in program costs for that CTE program that we're paying for, with roughly about $100,000 in transportation costs, that is the money that will be used year to year to pay for the additional teaching staff that we're going to need for this program. So it's pretty much going to be a wash. In fact, we may be a little to the better. But let's just say right now it's a wash. So the staffing costs will be paid by the program and the new wing we're building, and not paying for the program up at BOCES. And that's our end of it, which is a good question.
Any other questions, comments? Yes.
Can I reach up?
Sure.
Am I allowed to reach up there?
Yeah, sure.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on this proposal. I come as three different people tonight. The City of Utica is a historian, appointed by Mayor Julie, a City of Utica taxpayer, and a proud teacher here in the Utica City School District. As historian, my function is to listen to the generations that have preceded me and to do my best to record those histories. As someone who has befriended people of all ages, my favorites to listen to are those that were among the first 30 or 40 years of graduates of Proctor, and those who were also students during that time at UFA and JFK, when they were high schools. Not one of the people I've ever spoken to has had a negative thing to say about the CTE programs that existed before they were transferred over to BOCES. These proud graduates of our schools bemoaned, and some still do, my uncle this past weekend, the fact that today's kids are not learning trades at our school. This is the same refrain I've heard since I began working in this district over 20 years ago. As a taxpayer, I am always amazed at how our tax dollars have been sent to a BOCES site for someone else to oversee with little to no oversight. As a taxpayer, I'm thrilled with the possibility that my taxes will remain here in Utica benefiting our kids, Utica's kids. Now, as a teacher though, I am thrilled with this possibility of the Proctor campus hosting CTE. The mere fact that students are forced to leave my classes early due to the need to scarf down a lunch in 8 to 10 minutes, Mr. Fauci and Mr. Gifford can attest to that, before jumping on a bus to head out to New Hartford to get to the CTE instruction, always amazed me. It is not a healthy nor safe avenue for our kids. We know what driving is like in the winter months, just even tonight, in the Mohawk Valley. If students only have to walk across a hall to get to class, then the safety issue is solved. And those same students will not miss valuable seat or curriculum time in a core class, which I teach, needed for graduation in New York State. Remember, 90 classes of U.S. history, which I teach, multiplied by the 10 minutes, sometimes 15, the student gets to leave early to run down and eat lunch in order to catch a bus, translates into 900 minutes of missed class time. 900. That does not even include the child that is sick or misses time due to other issues. Additionally, with the need for students to travel up to an hour a day to attend BOCES, several students are not able to take some courses offered at the time that these students are away. Numerous times I've heard from my students who were disappointed they couldn't take my college credit-bearing government class because of the time that they're spending on the bus. They come back too late, they go too early, whatever. This change at Proctor will help that and allow them to take the class. This renovation, this expansion, is a win-win. I thank the school board for this, Mr. Karam. The Utica's teachers, we win, and most importantly, the students win. I urge everyone to vote for this. This is very important and will help our kids. Thank you. Thank you for the time. I appreciate it.
Yes.
So I'd like to ask about transparency of taxpayer dollars. So you touched upon the fact that we're getting $58 million in stimulus funds, which you also talked about last year during the budget hearing, or lack of budget hearing. The New York State Comptroller's Office did in fact tag this district for not knowing where a large portion of taxpayer money was going. And yet just a year after that, this district stopped producing itemized lists of budgets, including for the last 3 years. Therefore, we have no idea yet how the stimulus money, the entire $58 million of the stimulus money, was being spent by the district. And when I asked board members last year about this, they said that none of it was going to a reserve fund, that it was only being used to pay back old bonds. So where does this reserve fund come from? And where is that entire $58 million of stimulus money being used for?
Good question. Hey, do you get the superintendent's report?
Yes.
If you go back a few months into your superintendent's report, you're gonna see one of the 4 actions that the Board of Education approved was for the $58 million in the ARP money. So if you go back to the old report, it's all listed there and exactly what it's gonna be spent for. So if you follow the reports, it's there. Sure, go ahead.
Was that one of the added pages that you added after the meetings, or one of the ones that you added before the meetings? And if such, are they on the website as is required by New York State open meetings law and the legislation passed last month and signed by Governor Kathy Hochul?
I can tell you that it was already in the report when the report went out, so the rest of that I don't know. Okay?
on the, you had touched upon the building projects in the past, and I live a block from Proctor. When the new addition was put on to Proctor originally, the main portion, which is beautiful, by the way, beautiful addition. From my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, I wasn't as closely following the budgets as much then, but I do remember reading something in the paper where it ended up going over budget by about 600,000 or more.
I believe that was a project that was done in 2001, and we began our work here in 2009, so I can't answer your question.
Okay. Do we know, as far as BOCES, how many total students are going to BOCES? And I know we said the project that we're building right now, it's not all for BOCES, I went to BOCES 2 years. And the one thing I noticed is, I don't know how many people in this room have gone to BOCES. I had a great experience, just like I did going to Proctor and doing the bridge program. But the rushing around for the lunches, I never really experienced that, and we always had meals at BOCES too. But how many kids will we be able to hold in our facility and potentially to be able to handle growth as our city grows in that?
The current enrollment at BOCES for CTE is a little over 200 students. This isn't about BOCES. This is, we're not making this about BOCES. BOCES is a service provider, okay? And there's 48 BOCES set up across the state, and they provide services and programs. And each school district is allowed to purchase whatever services and programs they need. What we're talking about here in the BOCES, in our area, has 12 component districts. Utica, obviously the largest of them all. What we're proposing here is to benefit the students of the city of Utica and the Utica City School District kids. That's what our proposal is. It's not about BOCES. BOCES has some great services. BOCES has some great programs. But this particular one, what we're doing here is really for the betterment of the students that attend the Utica City School District.
I'm sorry, I got a million questions, I apologize. When we talk about graduation rates, and we talk about classroom sizes, and we talk about support staff, I'm all for BOCES, but at the same time, that's helping the kids that are going to BOCES. How is that still helping the kids that aren't utilizing the CTE program with smaller classroom sizes, social service, social workers, things like that? Are we increasing that as this project is built, or beforehand to help improve with those children?
This project, like I said earlier, is really to build specific curriculum designated programs and courses. So that would be the career and technical education. That's what we're building here. We're not building this for class size reduction, because whether we put the wing on or not, the total number of students that are at Proctor will remain at Proctor. It's not going to increase the number, not by building the wing. All the wing provides us with is additional classroom space that's specialized for automotive technology, auto body, drone, cybersecurity, plumbing, carpentry, electricity, welding. That's the purpose of this. And again, our focus, just like the other 11 school districts in the area that make up the BOCES component system, their focus is on their students and what's best for their students. Our focus is on our students and what's best for our students.
I could add a little bit to that in terms of capacity. We're renovating 6 rooms in the existing tech wing, and we're adding 21 rooms in the new addition. And if you use 20 students per classroom, what the superintendent talked about, 200 students there now, we're gonna have the capacity to double that, which is the number that they have projected. And that's what's driving the size of the addition, and that's the information that went to the New York State Education Department. Yes?
Can you break down the district graduation rate into the graduation rate for the students attending CTE programs at BOCES compared to students in other off-proctor facilities.
Yeah, we don't have those numbers now, but we can get you that information. We don't have it here.
Is that something we could add to the future meetings, Chris? Because I know we have a few more meetings, like showing the cost analysis, you know, the difference in the amount of programs we're going to be adding on versus what BOCES offers us. Like, say
That will all be part of the newsletter.
Okay.
So you're gonna see exactly. You'll get a list of exactly what courses will be offered and what curriculum, and then also the cost breakdown that you saw tonight is all gonna be in the newsletter, and that's gonna be mailed out this week. So I think there's over 20,000 of those going out, so every household should get one.
Do you think, and I only ask this because it's going to BOCES, I know there's a ton of other programs on there, and I think what we're going to be offering, will our future children lose out on the potential to take any of those other programs that BOCES offers that we won't?
No, the answer to your question is no, because again, BOCES is a service provider. It's not a traditional school district. They're there to provide services and programs that may not be offered in some of the smaller school districts, or in any of the school districts. So this won't affect, we will always be able to pick and choose, like every other district does in Oneida County, pick and choose what programs, what services that the Utica City School District kids need that we can then enter into an agreement with in order to satisfy the need.
Is there a way to do some type of survey in the future with the parents and the children? Because, you know, I've heard a lot in the last board meetings and this meeting that we talk to teachers, we talk to parents, we talk to children, but there's no actual data to support what's being, again, I'm not trying to do anything. It would just be nice to see the report because there's a lot of people that this is going to affect positively and negatively. Because the one thing these kids miss out on is meeting other kids from other districts and learning from each other. So.
Well, I can say this, as far as survey goes, yeah, there was informal surveys. This feedback that we got back were from student counselors, from assistant principals of students, from the principal of the building, from the teachers of the building, one which just spoke here tonight. But more importantly, that's part of it. The other part of it, like I said earlier, is we need to try to fix this problem of non-completers that puts the district on a list for targeted out-of-district placements. We need to fix that problem. This is what we feel will fix that problem, because we want to see, as I'm sure everybody here does, we want to see more kids graduate. And this is what we feel, this is what teachers feel, this is what administrators feel, this is what support staff feel. This was an aggregate or a comprehensive pool of people that got involved in this in order to come up with a proposal here in order to, help students way into the future.
So let's talk about actual application. So we've talked about surveys of students, administrators. I'm assuming that somewhere along the way we've had conversations with the construction trades and the union's lack of this type of labor force.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that we're going to have a bridge to actual application where you either work with the Key Club or whoever places students in apprenticeships.
Mhm.
We've had discussions with that, and that's part of what we're
It
looking
is,
at.
yes. In fact, that's a good point you're bringing up. We have gotten, that's another thing, over the years, we have gotten through these projects, and Mr. Damon here, I think, can vouch for this also, is that we've heard back from unions for the, IDEW, the carpenters, the plumbers, that have a shortage of trained and qualified workers. This is another reason why for this, and we've already started preliminary talks with these unions through Mr. Damon to bridge the gap and bring in apprenticeships and internships to the students so that we can match them up as they're going through this program. So that when our goal and our intention here is when a student is done after 12th grade and graduates, they are qualified by attending and completing the CTE program or Career and Technical Education program to go out and get a job. And as far as the automotive, we have some very big name automotive tool giants that have offered to train, come in, and give certified classes through their people, so that as they go through the auto mechanics portion, they get a certificate that allows them to work for one of the auto dealers, which needs special certifications. So we're already working on that end of it too. So there's a lot, like Mr. Damon said earlier, that's going on here, that, we're already moving at high speed here in order to make sure that these kids, when they go through this program, have a top-notch program and they have a job waiting for them when they leave.
And that's where my question is going, is the fact that you're gonna have a lot of questions about bricks and mortars and cost of construction. But one of the portions is that really needs to be highlighted is the relationships that you build by bringing in these types of these types of services. I mean, Morrisville, my son had a classmate go to Morrisville for automotive technology, and he got hired by Ford right out of Morrisville.
Yes.
So with a school like that so close, I'm assuming that you'll make those relationships.
Yeah.
So the next step's there.
Those are the things we're trying to do. We're trying to make sure that they get that kind of training. And even from outside sources that can come in and do it and assist us when we go through the program. To get that outside training so they get the special certifications or licenses that they would need so that as soon as they walk out the door with their diploma, they can walk into a job, a good paying job.
With regard to staffing, I mean, obviously these are very specialized fields, right? And, I think we sometimes now would have trouble finding staffing for music, art, and things of that nature.
True.
We've gone out and done a pulse where we can say we can get cosmetology teachers and culinary arts and those kinds of teachers.
We've already started looking, we're already trying to put together a plan so that if this does pass by the voters, that we can immediately start looking for qualified people. And under New York State certification, you have transitional B certificates, and you have special certificates for individuals that have, a certain amount of experience in trades and whatever, that can be certified by New York State by virtue of special certification, that can come in and then teach the class. So we're already working on that because obviously, when this is built, we want to make sure we have top quality people there. Yep.
Can you talk about how scheduling will work for students with the new CTE wing and to build that process?
Well, they'll have to take, obviously, their core classes and their graduation requirements along with the CTE designation classes. So that's how that would be built.
How would a CTE class schedule into a typical day of a student?
It would be scheduled as a block class, like any other class.
Would there be multiple sections of those?
Oh, yes. Oh, absolutely, sure. Because like we're saying, from what we're seeing and what we're hearing and the response we're getting, this program is going to grow. There's no doubt it's going to grow.
I guess a big concern for not just myself, I mean, I was one of the first ninth graders to go back to Proctor. And I guess a lot of concerns people have and parents have is how overcrowded the school is already, whether it's parking, getting in and out to pick kids up. Is there a game plan past this as our district keeps growing, because it's obviously growing?
Okay, yeah, good question, fair question. Here's the answer as far as I see it. Again, we're building a wing with specialized classroom space. It is not going to affect the number of kids, not going to increase it at all, it's going to remain the same. So that doesn't change. As far as down the road goes, that would be something that the district will look at down the road as far as that goes. In the meantime, we got to satisfy the needs of the students that we currently have and make sure that we're doing everything we can to make sure they graduate and that they have a job when they're out of school. And that's our goal here.
I'd like to make a statement. First off, I think it's greatly improved the schools and school districts. I think anytime you can do that, every one of our homes is worth more money. Every one of our neighborhoods is more valuable and more people looking to do that. I come here tonight, I'm fully supportive of this program because I wear several hats. I used to be mayor, county legislator now, also a small business owner. And in 1978, I walked through the doors of UFA, and after taking language for 2 weeks, decided that wasn't for me, and ended up in woodshop class. And I took 3 years of woodshop, followed by 1 year of graphic. And it was absolutely terrific. It kept me interested, it kept me going to school. I had several projects in my house. To this day, 40 years later, I put together in this class. I have many income properties. I've built houses, I've flipped houses, I've built commercial buildings. I've done pretty much anything you do with commercial trades. I've gone back and got my college degree. And all I can say is the foundation of everything I know how to do was taught to me in those classes. And I myself have, through the years, hired kids. I say kids, anyone other than these kids. So kids, I've hired people who don't know which end of the screwdriver to use. And if nothing else, these kids can get to maybe perhaps their senior year and say, well, I can need a half a day, or I need to get into this program here and learn some basic fundamentals and foundations of how to take care of your own home, and how to take care of your own property, your own possessions, or your car, whatever. It's a valuable life skill, not a even career skill, but a life skill that we could be teaching kids. We've gotten away from it for years. And personally, I mean, I appreciate how it went to BOCES, but if the opportunity was for me to go to BOCES or try to do a thing that I would not have gone to BOCES. Just would not have taken that time out of the day to do it. But these programs going back then rightfully belong in the high school again now. If we drive down the street, there's several houses that were built through that UFA construction program, right in this very neighborhood, that are worth hundreds of thousands of dollars to this day. And we can see ourselves doing that again. I've talked to several people in the labor unions who are clamoring, truly clamoring for people. Anybody, bodies, just send them bodies. Imagine sending them people who know what they're doing. You know what that'll do? I read the people who work at tree sites. These are individuals who are there working 6 days a week, 12-hour days, and they're getting time and a half on those extra hours that they're working. They're coming home, they're 75, $80, $90 an hour. You guys are making, what men and women are making this project. The hospital project is showing us that again, we are stretched thin for construction people in this area. That's why it's taking so long. It's stretched thin. Furthermore, we're going to talk about technology. UAS out in Rome, Griffiths Air Force Base. Griffiths Air Force Base, Griffiths and Technology Park. You're looking for people to operate these drones that they're working. They're experimenting with it. They're going to be part of our lives, whether we like it or not. And here twofold. Not every kid is destined to go to college. Not every kid wants to go to college. But through the years, we've pounded in their head that they have to get that college degree. Well, guess what? These kids are going to walk out of here making more money in a year than those kids have to pay on their student loans that went to college. They may not know even what they're going to do with it after they get out. So I think this is a great plan. I think it's a plan that has been years in the making. And yes, there are other questions that have to be answered from what I see and the finances that I see and all these other issues that I think this is this is a no-brainer. There's very few times you're going to see a no-brainer. This is a no-brainer for this school district to consider it. And I fully support it. I think it's a great idea. Thank you.
So, going back to your point, I'm not against CTE programs. I actually sit on one of the committees for some of them. Actually, at BOCES, I take interns literally every other month from BOCES, job shadows. I just gave a tour to the whole design class, and I sat on the committee for design class. My concern as a business owner, like you being a business owner, is I believe in it. I've been in 2 unions, right? I was in the meat cutter union. I poured my life with beer. I was making $60,000 in my early 20s, great money, supporting my family. Bought a house from block away from Proctor. My concern is being short-sighted and spending so much money now, but not looking at, is that going to backlog us financially with a 5-year or 10-year plan as our school district grows? I believe in the programs 110%. My brother-in-law owns his own company, all union shop for heating and cooling. He's scrambling for guys. A lot of those big projects you're talking about, when you talk about the hospital, those aren't our local guys. Those are people from Syracuse and out of the state doing that work. We're not hiring a lot of our local people for that work. Even if we could, we're not. As much as I'd like to, if you look at a lot of the city projects, they're not done by a lot of local guys. But besides that, I'm for improving it, but we have to know the numbers, we have to know what it's gonna cost us faculty-wise. Is it gonna come out of our taxes when it comes on the back end? Is this project gonna stay on point financially? We don't know that. And there's a lot of uncertain numbers that aren't projected up there that we can't forecast and we don't have. But we're moving at a fast pace to approve something. And being a business, you and I both know, you spend $100,000 in the wrong direction, we're talking millions. We need more social workers. I grew up in a house with Shepherd. You need more counselors. We don't have enough counselors. Those are facts. You have 600 to 700 seniors, and less than a third of them will be in this program, which is still great. They're getting an opportunity. But what about the rest of them that are in the classes with 22 to 24 other kids? It's not helping them. Spread that money out to get the other support staff is what helps them too. That's just my entire thing on it. I'm all for unions and everything else, because hands down, you can get a job making $34 an hour, I know what you're doing. Just doing masonry, whatever. But we have to look at the long-term plan too, that's what concerns me.
Look, that's great, the reason we're not hiring these local companies is because they don't have that with the expertise. I mean, you look at the Nexus project, there are several local subcontractors on that project that are doing that project, as well as the hospital. Not so much free, I see you guys coming in, putting in, people coming in constantly outside the area on that. But yes, we don't have the manpower. We don't have the, I say manpower anymore, or I say first power. People to do that. And that's where the problem lies, is that we are thin, extremely thin. And I'm not even saying it's a union shop. The union shop, the non-union shop, what have you, could be a guy, girl, what have you, decides to open their own construction company. I mean, that's what we're looking to do. And it's an option. When you talk about some of these people who are social workers, I think if you're destined to be a social worker, your second career choice is I'm going to be a plumber, I can't be a social worker. I think that I agree with that. I think that we do need more of that. I mean, from the county point of view, we're short on social workers, we're short on DMD workers, we're short on prison directors. Imagine that, the three people we're going to use
Well,
probably.
that's what we're going to notify the jails.
Yep, so, I mean, this is not rocket science, those people would be paid. But at the same time, what we need is we need to have a program for right now, the kids who are falling through the cracks and who are not destined for college. Because there are kids who are saying, well, why am I even here if I have no path out? And they're academically good. I mean, look, I took woodshop, and I also took AP English and Regents English and history and all those things like that. I did that, but I was kind of an anomaly. Other kids are like, this is, something, and I know people who left that program, or construction companies, plumbers, electricians, body mechanics, body persons, I'm sorry, mechanics, I mean, it's just, thank you, sir. But it's, again, I think we're looking at kind of the same outcome from two different directions.
But that's why I want all the numbers side by side so everybody gets to see them.
Mr. Carroll, you mentioned the cost, and you said that it's a wash. I don't, and I agree with you, because I'm looking at the numbers you present, I don't see how it's going to cost us more to hire the teachers since we're sending the money to both these entities.
That's correct.
So,
What you see, the numbers that you saw here tonight up on the thing, and the numbers that are going out in your newsletter are exact as we can get them, and they're good, solid numbers. The only things that may change may be the building aid, which we may get more because we did it conservatively. But these numbers are rock solid numbers.
and aren't we all, Mr. Carroll?
Mr. Damon and his team put that together. But I just want to address a couple of issues that came
money
from
for you.
the man over there.
More money anyway under that lawsuit,
Sure.
so that's gonna help too.
Sure, absolutely. And here's the other thing. This project's being basically paid for by state building aid and the federal stimulus program. Now, if this isn't an opportune time to take advantage of that for the students in this district and build this wing so that they have this for years and years to come, then I don't know what is. This is pretty cut and dry. What you see is what it is. And I know some people here have said that they've had houses here for a long time. Well, go back the last 8 years. You haven't had a tax increase in school taxes in 8 years. And that's because the Board of Education, myself, and our staff take great pride, and we're very conservative in the budgets that we create and produce, is the reason why there has been a tax increase in 8 years in school taxes. But if you look at any other governmental agencies, they're increasing taxes every year. So I think that's a pretty good track record to follow. And as Mr. Damon said, he's been on 3 or 4 projects here, building projects, Terry, the last 3 or 4. If any of those come in over budget or not within the time frame? He said everything's been on time and within budget or less. So, I mean, I think the record's there. Yes?
So I have a statement that from an appraisal, from a value perspective, if you're gonna build something that is considered of an excellent quality, you're gonna increase the value of your housing stock, which means your taxes should increase if they ever revalue the city, okay? So that's one perspective. So when I think about spending money, you're hoping in the private sector, you're gonna get a housing increase, which should drive your budget money, because obviously you're gonna collect more taxes to value higher. My other question is mechanical, and I missed the beginning of this, so excuse me if I'm asking a question that was already asked. Mechanical systems that exist at the present structure, the increase in capacity that you might require for an addition, is that be factored in? Or do you have the capabilities on your mechanicals already to handle the additional space?
That's a construction question. I'm not a construction expert. I'm going to leave that for the end.
No, that is a good question. The area of the building that's being renovated, the existing mechanical systems there are capable of handling the needs in that portion. New mechanical systems will be provided for the addition. And then we will look at the opportunity to tie some of those in where appropriate. So if we can leverage some of the facilities that are currently there. This new wing is adjacent to the boiler room. So we're going to look at those types of things. We have over the years improved the boiler system at Proctor. So we'll look at different opportunities to try to leverage what's there, and where we can, we will, and where we cannot, we will simply add new systems. We budgeted to include and provide all new systems.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sitting here and being very patient. I was a Utica teacher for 25 years. I was in education for 35 years. Are we really putting a price on the future of our children? All I've heard, most of what I've heard tonight is how much, how much, how much. I own a house in Utica, I pay taxes in Utica. Nobody likes a tax increase, but these are our children. We can't put a price on their futures, and I don't understand why that seems to be the main focus. I'm not saying we should be spendthrifts. We need to be careful, we need to be accountable, but we need to think about our kids. I've seen kids who cannot sit in an open book. They cannot sit long enough to turn a page. Those are the kids who can get into these programs. Not everyone, we can't all be mechanics, but we all can't be teachers, and we can't all be doctors either. We have to be able to expand our education so we suit everyone's needs. And I think that's number one, the needs of our children, not the cost of this program. And you've already assured us that there won't be any tax raise. So, naively, why are we having all this discussion about money? I'm done.
I can, as a parent, 15-year-old, my daughter just graduated. It's not just about money, because if it was just about money, we would invest in our own busing. Our kids aren't getting to school on time right now. They're waiting outside and cold. Why don't we invest in our own busing? Because it costs more. I asked that same question about that, and I get a different answer. So I agree with you. For me, listen, I pay more tax than most people in this room. And that's not the deep money. It's just a fact. I pay a utility tax. I pay $2,000 a year in a utility sales tax for the school district. I talked about that. I pay a ton in sales tax. For me, it's a matter of making sure it's the right steps to get the kids, all kids, what they might need, not just 200 of them. Growing up poor, growing up in the district, I had amazing teachers. I had amazing guidance counselors, Miss Angel House. Great secretaries in Mr. Karam's office. But if we don't calculate things financially smart, first thing first, all kids need better busing. That's all kids. I'd rather see $18 million go to all the busing. But I also understand where this is important as well. But I'm looking out for all children, not just certain children. That's the difference.
You know, just to answer, we'll get off track for 1 second here, but just to answer the question on your busing, whether or not the Utica City School District has its own busing fleet or not, we still couldn't find the drivers to drive it. So the problem isn't whether we own the buses physically or not. The problem is whether or not we have drivers to drive the buses. And the decision really to go with a private vendor was over 35 years ago. So, and a lot of us that work for the district weren't here then. So, I mean, I think everything's just got to be taken into consideration here. But we're hoping though that the economic climate and the employment climate, the labor shortage will get better over the very short period of time so that the vendor who contracts with us can get the bus drivers so that we can get back to normal.
I mean, not to get super off track, really, we had Bernie Bus, we had over 2,000 safety incidents, and we're suing them right now after being sued. 2,000. If that was a parent, 2 calls, CPS would have called. We're talking about safety. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm sure the National Traffic Safety Board took that up with Bernie, I'm sure. Any other questions regarding career technical?
Yeah, so, statement that will turn into a question. We're talking about the needs of students and what to spend money on. Talk about the impending need of the CTE program. Number one, to say you made the decision on private bus companies 35 years ago, you also made the decision.
I didn't make the decision 35 years ago, and I didn't make this decision. Oh, okay, but I didn't make this decision solely either, so this was a team. But go ahead.
Anyway, the decision was also made to move it out of the CTE program out of district 35 years ago, so that time frame makes absolutely no sense to argue. We were talking about the needs of the district.
Your opinion, but go ahead.
Talk about the needs of the district. The CTE program is in fact, for whatever its flaws at BOCES, still available to students in this district. There's also flawed programs such as our college preparedness, our Regent scores, which you talked about, the ELL students somehow bringing down Regent scores, possibly the ELL program, and you may have flaws. All these programs are flawed and could be improved upon with money. These are all needs of the district. Overcrowding, people have talked about the idea of the 6th grade academy or the 9th grade academy. These are possible needs of the district. These are all things that money could be spent on. So the question I have is, why is the CTE program more important than all those other needs, number one? And number two, how do you justify the fact that this has been a hastily thrown together plan for the CTE program, so much so that last month in the board meeting presentation, you presented a PowerPoint that had 2 contrasting floor plans for the number of floors that the building would have, not the number of rooms, the number of floors. One diagram showed 2 floors, another diagram showed 3 floors. How can you present a PowerPoint with such a ridiculous flaw and expect us to vote on it in just under a month?
Well, Mr. Damon is going to look into that, because I just asked him, and he will get back to you on that. And in regards to all these other programs or something that you've been talking about, you're mixing apples with oranges here. Because some of these other things really are different than what the CTE program here, what we're talking about. We're talking about basically building specialized classrooms so that we can offer this program on campus. Some of the other programs we're talking about are already offered on campus, and I think our teachers do an excellent job in teaching those classes and those courses. So it really is like apples and oranges, okay? It's from what we're looking at here, and we've been looking at this for a while now, and the team has been planning this for a while now to propose it. And again, the opportunity with the state building aid, the opportunity with the federal stimulus money, which can build a wing for the Utica City School District and satisfy the needs of this program with all the students here and be paid for, it's a no-brainer. So that's it. Is there, we have to have, see if anybody else has questions, okay? Anybody else has questions? Okay, then, yeah.
Question. You're saying all of these programs are flawed. However, Have you ever been in a classroom in Proctor? Could you stand?
Yes, I have, actually.
Could you ever stand in front of, say, every one of these people spoke a different language and you're trying to teach them chemistry? How do you get through to all of these kids? These teachers work their behinds off.
It was the superintendent on the radio who said that our graduation numbers were struggling because of the performance of ELL students. I'm paraphrasing what the superintendent said to the public, not my own opinion.
Well, I'm just explaining to you that I'm not sure flawed is the correct word to use. Teachers work very, very hard. And it's a challenge, to put it mildly, at what these teachers have to go to try and get their kids, their students, to pass all of these exams that are ridiculous for kids who just came out of the jungle 4 months ago and don't know what a toilet is, and they're trying to teach them chemistry. Now think about
I'm
it.
absolutely
Flawed is
thankful for
not
every
right.
single one of my teachers. However, I'm not thankful for the fact that the superintendent has decided to pressure some of those fantastic teachers out of the district with unethical actions.
Okay, we're going to wrap this up now, okay? So I want to thank everybody for coming out here tonight. Thank you very, very much. And if you have any other questions, just please contact me. Thank you.